And welcome back to this podcast. Mhm. How to create character 3 ways. Character through description. Number 1. This is the first description of Mrs. Gingshaw in I'm the King of the Castle by Susan Hill. She was widowed. She was 37 and she was to become what had turned an informal housekeeper. There is no physical description, so we have no idea at this stage what Mrs. Gingshaw looks like. Our interest is gained by making us wonder, for example, what has attracted Mr. Hooper to Mrs. Gingshaw. What does he mean by informal housekeeper? So the author's technique is one of giving a little information to make us want to read on. Descriptions may be more detailed. This is Marian in The Go-Between by L.P. Hartley. Her father's long eyelids drooped over her eyes, leaving under them a glint of blue so deep and liquid that it might have been shining through an unshed tear. Her hair was bright with sunshine, but her face, which was full like her mother's, only pale rose pink instead of cream, wore a stern, brooding look that her small, curved nose made almost hawk-like. You could sketch Marian's appearance from this information, but not Mrs. Gingshaw. However, there is a similarity in the descriptions, and it is an important technique which you should comment on when writing about character. This is the implicit meaning in the description. That is what the authors are suggesting about the characters. Marian is obviously beautiful, but words such as stern, brooding, and hawk-like hint at harsh elements in her character. The lack of information about Mrs. Gingshaw makes her seem mysterious and even a little threatening. Susan Hill and L.P. Hartley have got us speculating about their characters. In one case, through lack of detail, and in the other, through the amount of detail. Reading. Number 2. Character through action. Rather than simply describe them, the author may show us characters doing things. Our reactions to what they do help us decide what kind of people they are. When Billy Casper in a kestrel for a knife washes his hands after a fight at school, he plays with a soap bubble. He tilted his hand and shifted his head to catch the colors from different angles and in different lights. and while he was looking, it vanished, leaving him looking at a lathered palm. What is the author, Barry Haynes, telling us? Despite his problems, Billy is a sensitive lad who delights in the natural world around him. On a more basic level, he is not used to having hot water and soap to wash with. Character through speech. Squealer in Animal Farm by George Orwell shows his character through what he says. Here we see his cunning and disregard for the other animals. We pigs are brain workers. The whole management and organization of this farm depend on us. Day and night we are watching over your welfare. It is for your sake that we drink that milk and eat those apples. Do you know what would happen if we pigs failed in our duty? Yes, Jones. Yes, Jones would come back. Jones would come back. It is what he says which shows Squealer's nature. Sometimes it will be how a character says something which is revealing. In the Darkness Out There by Penelope Lively, Mrs. Rutter shows how little she minds about the death of a German airman, between brackets, but also her anger at the death of her own husband in the war, by commenting tit for tat. Reading prose fiction. Number one, what would you comment on in description of character? 1. 2. How can a writer use action to reveal character? 3. In what two ways can characters be revealed through speech? 4. What do you learn about the character of the boy in the excerpt from William Golding's Lord of the Flies? What details help you form your ideas? He was a boy of perhaps 6 years, sturdy and fair, his clothes torn, his face covered with a sticky mess of fruit. His trousers had been lowered for an obvious purpose and had only been pulled back halfway. He jumped off the palm terrace into the sand, and his trousers fell about his ankles. He stepped out of them and trotted to the platform. As he received the reassurance of something purposeful being done, he began to look satisfied, and his only clean digit, a pink thumb, slid into his mouth. Okay. Number 5. What do this girl's actions from the Darkness Out There by Penelope Lively tell you about her character? 4. She stopped to pick grass stems. grass stems out of her sandal. She saw the neat print of the strap marks against her sunburn, pink white on brown. Somebody had said she had pretty feet. Once she looked at them, clean and plump and neat on the grass. What does this dialogue tell you about the three characters in Sail on the Snow by Roxana Smith? I saw an ad for a volunteer agency today, Julie remarked. I thought I might find out about it. They're asking for helpers to get old people's shopping. Dad looked up, his mouth full. Do-gooders, he scoffed. Charity work. You know, I don't hold with that sort of thing. Don't upset yourself, Jack, soothed his wife, pouring him a cup of tea. Okay. This is how the things that you will build your characters, descriptions, how they speak and how they act, how they are described, and how the author makes them speak, and how he makes them act along the story. These are three things very important about forming characters of a novel or a story. I hope that you enjoyed this. Thank you for